Welcome back to my channel. Today we discuss very important disease thought is called insomnia.
Welcome to Neuro Waves, where we dive deep into stories, insights, and ideas that matter. I'm your host, Ima, and you're in for a great episode today.
Welcome to this deep dive.
Hi there.
Today, we're really zeroing in on something that I think touches so many people's lives.
Definitely.
That challenge of not getting the sleep we need, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
Yeah, it's such a fundamental part of health, isn't it? But it often feels just out of reach for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our guide for this deep dive, it's a specific article, one that really focuses on practical, home-based remedies for insomnia.
Right. So our goal here is to really unpack the core insights from this source material.
Okay.
We want to pull out what it says about, well, what is insomnia, first off? Why is sleep genuinely vital?
Uh-huh.
Dig into some of the most common reasons people struggle with it.
The causes, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Explore the specific at-home strategies it suggests across different areas, and crucially, understand when this article says, okay, it's time to loop in a doctor.
Right. So think of this as us filtering down a kind of roadmap, maybe. A roadmap of potential actions from this source.
Yeah, extracting the most actionable steps for you listening.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What is the source's starting point?
Yeah.
How does it define insomnia?
Well, according to this article, it's not just, one single bad night's sleep.
Right, we've all had those.
Exactly. It's defined as a sleep disorder where you consistently find it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep, or both.
Consistently is the key word there.
Yes. And it notes that while, sure, guidelines often mention maybe 7 to 9 hours for adults,
That standard number, yeah.
the quality of that sleep is really, really key. Sometimes even more important than hitting a specific number of hours.
Ah, okay. Quality over just strict quantity. That does shift the focus a bit, doesn't it?
It does.
And why is getting that quality sleep so important? What kind of impact does the source describe?
Well, it paints a pretty clear picture. It's quite widespread, the impact. What's fascinating here is how it links lack of sleep directly to daytime fatigue, obviously.
Sure, that's the immediate one.
But also significantly impacts both your physical and your emotional state. Your mood can definitely suffer.
Irritable.
Yeah, and your ability to concentrate, that takes a real hit too.
So it's not just feeling a bit groggy or tired. The source also connects it to longer-term health concerns, right?
Exactly. It highlights that chronic, insufficient rest can put you at a higher risk for some pretty significant health issues.
Yeah.
Things like depression, obesity, heart disease, even diabetes.
Wow.
It really underscores that sleep isn't some kind of luxury. It's foundational. It's absolutely essential to your well-being.
That's a powerful reminder.
Ah.
Okay, so shifting gears slightly, the source lists some common culprits behind these sleepless nights. What are the main drivers it identifies? What's keeping people awake?
It lists several factors, and many of them are surprisingly common. Stress, anxiety, or depression are really high on the list.
The mental health connection.
Absolutely. Then there are things like uncomfortable sleep environments, maybe your mattress, the room temperature, or even just too much light coming in.
Right, the physical setup.
External noise is another factor. Also, things like drug use, irregular work shifts, shift work is a big one, and consuming alcohol, caffeine, or nicotine, especially later in the day.
That covers a lot of ground. Some internal, like stress, some external, like noise or light. It sounds like many of these are things people could potentially influence, maybe.
That's the hope, yes. And the article does give hope here. It suggests many at-home treatments often involve adjusting habits and routines.
Okay.
And this is where we get to the practical remedies. It breaks them down into categories. Where does it start?
So the first one it highlights is exercise, which feels intuitive, right? Exercise is good for you.
It does. It's presented as good for overall health, but specifically beneficial for sleep quality. Now, the key insight here isn't just do exercise, but when you do it.
The timing.
Exactly. The article points out that exercise releases endorphins, which are naturally energizing. Because of this, it strongly suggests getting your workouts done earlier in the day and making sure you avoid really vigorous exercise within about 2 hours of when you plan to go to bed.
Okay, so that morning run or an afternoon gym session is good. Late night weightlifting, probably less so.
Precisely.
Got it. What's the next area it dives into?
Next up is what's commonly called sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene, right? Heard that term.
In this article, that essentially means cultivating good, consistent habits around sleep. The number one recommendation here is sticking to a very regular sleep schedule.
Like same bedtime, same wake-up time.
Exactly. Even on weekends, which can be tough, I know.
Yeah, the weekend lie-in.
It tempts us all.
Yeah.
But setting that consistent bedtime and wake-up time helps regulate your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm.
Okay.
And a related point it makes is explicitly advising against napping during the day. The idea is you build up enough sleep pressure, enough tiredness to feel ready for sleep at your scheduled bedtime.
Right, so skipping the nap helps you sleep better at night. Consistency, consistency, consistency for that internal rhythm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so after habits, the source talks about what we consume. How does nutrition and what we drink factor in?
Well, the article states pretty clearly that what you take into your body can significantly impact sleep quality.
Makes sense.
While a healthy diet overall is beneficial, it gets specific again about timing. Avoid large meals within a couple of hours of bedtime.
Okay, give your digestion a break.
Right. And this advice extends to alcohol and caffeine. Both are flagged as substances that can really disrupt sleep quality or just make it hard to fall asleep in the first place.
So when should you cut those off, ideally?
It suggests cutting off caffeine by mid-afternoon, maybe 2 or 3 p.m., and avoiding alcohol after dinner.
Right, so it's not just what, but very much when you eat and drink.
Exactly.
And I noticed it mentions those often suggested comfort remedies, like warm milk and chamomile tea. What does it say about those?
Yes, it does include those. It lists them as popular remedies that are believed to have relaxing effects on the brain.
Believed to, so not definitive proof necessarily.
It frames them more as traditional aids, things that might help some people wind down, potentially making it easier to drift off. Less of a guarantee, more of a supportive measure, perhaps.
Interesting, okay. Moving from internal factors like food to external ones. The article discusses light regulation. This feels, again, kind of intuitive, but does it offer any specific tips? Maybe less obvious ones.
It really emphasizes the power of darkness. A properly dark room is crucial for both falling asleep and, importantly, staying asleep.
Okay.
Practical steps it suggests are things like using thick curtains or blinds to block out any external light, or even a sleep mask if needed.
Right, block it all out.
But it also tackles artificial light, specifically advising against screen time, watching TV, scrolling on your phone or tablet right before bed.
The classic blue light issue we hear so much about.
That's exactly it. The point it makes is that the bright, full-spectrum light from these devices is stimulating. It's basically telling your brain it's daytime, which is counterproductive when you want to sleep.
So what does it suggest instead of screens?
It suggests winding down with truly relaxing activities, reading a physical book maybe, listening to calming music, taking a warm bath, things that signal quiet time to your body and mind.
Makes sense.
And here's a very specific, really actionable detail it includes. If you happen to wake up during the night, maybe to use the washroom, use a small flashlight instead of flipping on the main overhead light. That sudden burst of bright light can really jolt you awake and make it much harder to fall back asleep quickly.
Oh, that's a great practical tip. Never thought of that. Keep a dim torch by the bed.
Exactly. Minimize that light exposure.
Okay. Finally, the source talks about relaxation itself, just the general concept. What are its points on winding down effectively?
Well, it suggests tackling any demanding tasks, work, or stressful things earlier in the day. Keep them well away from bedtime.
Create a buffer zone.
Precisely. It also focuses on creating a dedicated relaxation space in your bedroom. Maybe dimming the lights beforehand, lowering the temperature a bit if possible. Cooler tends to be better for sleep. And reducing noise using things like earplugs or perhaps a white noise machine.
Setting the stage for sleep.
Yes. And there's a psychological piece too, isn't there? Specifically about clocks.
Oh yeah, the clock watching thing.
Yes, it explicitly advises hiding or turning away clocks in the bedroom. The insight here is simple but powerful. If you wake up during the night seeing the time, oh no, it's 3 a.m., can instantly trigger anxiety about how little sleep you're getting.
Which then keeps you awake longer. The irony.
Exactly. It just makes it even harder to fall back asleep. So the overall message is about creating a serene environment and actively minimizing those stress triggers linked specifically to sleep or lack thereof.
Okay, so this article gives us 5 main areas of focus for these at-home strategies. Exercise, timing, sleep hygiene, consistency, nutrition, timing and in, light regulation, darkness and no blue light, and relaxation, winding down, environment, no clock watching. each with specific tactics.
A whole toolkit, really.
But let's say someone, tries many of these things. They're really making an effort, but they're still struggling badly.
Yeah.
Does the source address when it's time to move beyond these home remedies?
It absolutely does. And that's a really crucial part of the article, I think.
Good.
It states very clearly that if you've consistently tried several of these strategies, you've given them a fair shot, and your insomnia persists, it's likely time to see a doctor.
Okay. Is there a time frame mentioned?
It advises seeking professional help if your insomnia has been an issue for a period of months, or if it's having a really significant negative impact on your daily functioning, your work, your mood, your relationships.
Right, when it really starts interfering.
Right. Exactly. The source mentions that a doctor would likely start by asking detailed questions about your sleep habits, maybe keep a sleep diary. And they might suggest medical treatments, perhaps a short course of a sleep aid, or something like cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI.
Ah, CBTI. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's specifically designed to help change the thoughts and behaviors, the patterns that interfere with sleep. It's quite effective for many people.
That's a really important takeaway then. These home remedies are a valuable starting point, maybe the first line of defense.
Definitely worth trying.
But professional guidance is there and necessary when needed. Okay, so we've done quite a deep dive into this source, pulling out its key points. We've covered its definition of insomnia, more than just one bad night.
Right, the consistency.
Its perspective on why sleep is so crucial for, well, everything, physical and mental health.
Foundational, not a luxury.
We explored the common causes. It identifies stress, environment, habits, substances.
A mix of things.
And we really unpack the specific home-based remedies it suggests across those 5 categories. Exercise, sleep hygiene, nutrition, light regulation, and relaxation. Plus, importantly, when it recommends seeking professional help.
Yeah, it really lays out a practical roadmap, doesn't it? A roadmap of habits and routines, suggesting that adjusting these could be a significant step towards better sleep quality for many people.
Absolutely. This deep dive was all about pulling those specific actionable steps suggested by this one particular article. So for you listening right now, maybe consider this based on what we've discussed. If changing habits and routines is presented as so central by this source, how might consistently focusing on just one or maybe 2 of these areas, perhaps the ones that seemed, easiest to implement for you, how might that make a noticeable difference over time? What's maybe one small change from this list you might feel ready to start with, maybe even tonight?
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, stay curious and keep listening.